Hey there, welcome to the Focus Podcast with Tara Lee. This is the place where we talk about real life, real relationships, and how to grow through it all. If you're looking for simple mindset shifts, better communication, and deeper connections, you're in the right spot. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Focus Podcast. I'm your host, Tara Lee, and today I have a special guest with me, my husband, Jason. He has been on here before. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to have him here, and he agreed last minute to jump on with me again because today we are talking about misguided expectations in marriage. And so we've been married for 27 years, almost 27 years together, that long, and very excited to kind of talk a little bit about this today with you guys. So we're going to tell you a little bit about some of the things we've learned along the way, some things I think maybe we got right, some things we got wrong, and we're just going to kind of see where this goes. So I have a few notes here, but I had a blog that came out this week about misguided expectations, and Jason thankfully listens or reads and supports me in all of my stuff that I do. So he did read a little bit about it today, so it's not going to be all surprise to you.
Yeah.
But when you hear the word expectations in marriage, what is it what do you think of? What comes to your mind?
I think sometimes, like, when I first hear that, the first thing that comes to mind is kind of a negative connotation of it. Like, they're like kind of like a checklist of things that need to be done or that you should do or that, you know, are expected to do these things. And I think of like a checklist is kind of what I think of, but I don't think that's necessarily what that means always in every marriage. But that's the first thing that comes to mind.
It's just a checklist.
A checklist of things that are expected.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what my mind goes.
So do you think that you have higher expectations, or do I?
I don't know. I think they're just maybe different in different areas of things that maybe I don't know that I would say one is higher than the other. Yeah.
Just different expectations.
Yeah, and maybe in certain things there's, you know, one of us would have more expectations than the other, but that's...
Do you think that early on in our marriage versus now, there's been differences? Like I would think that we've evolved and learned a little bit better, right?
Yeah. I mean, early on it might have been more, things with the kids might have been more of expected and whatever, whereas, and how we interact with them and who's doing what with them and that, but now it's probably less of that and more of like between you and I. So
because expectations aren't bad, they're natural, they're things that we all have, right? It's when they're unspoken or unrealistic or rooted in some sort of ideal fantasy, like, you know, social media kind of tells us about or whatever, that's where they start to cause pain, I think. Or disappointment. You know, it's thinking of he should, or it should look like this, or love shouldn't be this hard, or those kinds of things, I think, is when it starts to kind of miss the mark, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Can you think of a time when you expected something from me and maybe I missed the mark? Just one. Time. Because I'm sure there's probably a whole lot.
I can't think of anything like right off the top of my head.
Nothing.
You
got nothing. I've done everything perfecly.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's why we've been married 27 years, because he's delusional. No.
No, I mean, I know that's not, I mean, I wouldn't say that either one of us has done everything perfectly but I can't think of any like specific thing just right off the top of my head. But.
Yeah. Well, let's think of like, maybe not with each other, but think back to like when we were first married, where there's some expectations that we both carried from our families that, this is what I thought marriage would look like, or this is what I expected. You know, did you expect to come home to dinner on the table every day because that's how your mom did? Well, I don't think your mom did it that way, but those kinds of things. Like some people maybe expect because their mom brought or had dinner on the table when dad got home, with things like that, where they're
I mean, because I mean, I would say everybody kind of grew up in a family setting, and every family kind of does things different. I think when I was younger, I didn't realize that so much, but the older I've gotten and more I've been seen other people and interacted with other people, I've obviously have seen that, that every family kind of does things different, just in the structure of how they run their day or how they interact with, between couples and between their kids and things like that. So yeah, there's definitely differences. And I think when we were first married, maybe I envisioned something not exactly like my parents, but maybe some of the things to be similar. And maybe that isn't always, obviously we work and decide what we want to have our family to be. And I think that's evolved over the years. So
like what kinds of things? Can you think of anything specific that...
No, I mean, nothing like, no, I mean, like I said, I can't think of anything specifically, like just, but we've kind of always done our thing,
I'll tell you a good one. Can I tell you a good one?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I grew up, my dad and brothers kind of did the outside work, and me and my mom and sisters kind of did the inside housework and that kind of stuff. So when I got married, I kind of expected that's kind of how it would go. And luckily I was able to stay home with our kids when they were really little, and were working and things. And even when I would do the housework and that kind of stuff, a lot of times, and even still to this day, like, you always clean the bathrooms. You always did, always still does, because he does a way better job than I do, by the way.
I think so.
But I guess that was an expectation. I didn't realize that, or even think that that would be something that you would do or want to do, or that I thought that would be the expectation on me. And I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't have to always do that we kind of share in that kind of stuff. And yeah. I think it's fun. I think it's great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we've ever gone through and here's the list of your things and my things and whatever. So we just do the things that.
Yeah. But you have kind of gotten to where, I don't know, maybe that's a misguided expectation I have, because I seem to know that you just kind of do the bathrooms. I mean, if I see that, okay, it needs to be done, or the counters need to be wiped, or it's been, I don't know, longer than we imagined or something like that, then I do it. But I kind of know that you do it because you're really good at, I think neither of us like any sort of mold or mildew or spots in the shower. So we kind of just do that. I mean, that's obviously something we do every single day. We wipe it down, but that may be a little OCD and a little sneak into our lives that people maybe don't need to know that we both like to clean our shower daily. But that's kind of
that might be one example.
Yeah, I think it's probably good that we're both a little bit, neither of us we're both a little bit clean freaks and stuff. I think we keep things really organized. We both like order, and I think it's the accountant in you, and I think that's really good and lucky for me anyway. So why do you think people are afraid to just say what they need in their relationships?
Maybe out of a fear that it's not going to be received well with the other partner or with the other person. That's the only thing that really first comes to mind, is just that maybe it wouldn't be received well, or it would come across as somebody, I don't know if it's too needy, or just kind of, if somebody knows me well enough, then they would know, or they should know, or those kinds of things. But,
that's exactly what, I call it the invisible rule book, that people have these unspoken rules that we didn't really tell anybody about, but we have these expectations, unspoken rules about that, or what we expect from them, and they don't even know it. So I think that can be really damaging to a relationship, because we've created this book and how people should behave and how they should treat us or what we expect from them, and we don't even give that to them. And so that's just setting them up for failure, really, and us for setting us up for disappointment.
Well, luckily, with you, I've never really had that because I feel like in our marriage, you've always been very open about like saying and telling me and communicating with me when you are interested in something, or what, just even like, I mean, not just to the point of just leaving hints, but you'll come right out and tell me. And especially, I mean, sometimes I ask, but a lot of times you don't make me guess. You say it. And so hopefully I'm listening and picking up on that. And usually you're patient until you may say it a couple times, or it may come out a couple times. But I think just listening to what you're saying and good communication, I think, is where a lot of that can be avoided. But I think you've never had that expectation that I had to like guess or know your inner secrets or anything like that to give you the right gift or give you the right provide something or do something that you would expect. I guess I've never had that.
Well, I think I learned a long time, like really early on, that you're not a mind reader. I'm not a mind reader.
Right.
So if I want something or I need something, then I need to say it, because I know you love me, and just because you can't read my mind doesn't mean you don't. So because I can't read yours. So I think it sets people up for disappointment and people up for failure. We're setting somebody up to fail if we expect them to know what we want without telling them. Yeah. And so I just didn't want that. And so I think that's why I kind of tell you. But I think on the flip side of that, though, is you've always made me feel very comfortable in telling you those things, because you listen and you take it to heart. And if there's something that, I see that I want changed or different in our household or whatever, then you are open to listening to that and helping me come up with a solution for it, not shutting me down, or you've created an emotional safety place for me to be able to share that with you. So I think that's what's really helpful too. So if you want your spouse to share those things with you and not expect you to read your mind, then make it a safe place for them to come to do that. Because if you over and over and over again, they ask and ask and ask, and you don't follow through or you don't do it, they're going to quit asking, and so, or not feel safe to do so. So I think that's kind of important too, don't you? Yeah,
definitely.
So kind of back to a little bit about the rule books or whatever. Was there one thing that, and this will be interesting because my parents have both passed on, so it might not be as hard to hear. I don't know if any of our families listen to this podcast anyway. So, but was there one thing that my family did that made you think, what is happening here? Because we were both raised by very different parents and
styles.
Parenting styles, very different.
I'm sure there have been. I just right off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. I mean, I know your family was always a little bit more like embraced and kissed and
huggy, and touchy.
Said they loved each other every time they came together or left, and on a phone call and things like that, where that's not something that my family was ever, not that nobody ever said that they loved each other, but it just wasn't quite as frequent. And so it was a lot more common and stuff in your family than mine. So that would, I guess, be one thing.
Yeah, probably the first time you met my dad and he comes up and gives you a great big hug, that was probably like, wait, what's happening here? That's probably the time, right?
Probably, yeah.
Then you got used to it, I'm sure, after all the years, for
sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
And you're definitely one with your own kids. You're very huggy, affectionate. So I love it. So this next part here, I want to talk a little bit about how should in the English language kind of creates disconnection and pressure to people. Every should that we add to our expectations and stuff is kind of, it teaches our partner that they're not enough. You should have known. You shouldn't do that. You should. Don't you think that that's kind of... Yeah.
I mean, when you say should, to me, it kind of means, I mean, who says that that's the reason, or that should be the case? I mean, we're all writing our own stories. I mean, yes, we should follow the rules. We should follow the laws. I mean, there's some of those kinds of things, but like just in terms of relationships and things like that, I think that really I don't know, that seems like a kind of a negative thing, or not something that I think you should work out and communicate with your partner as far as what are some of the
why do you think people expect people to just know? Do you think it's fear or pride, or why do you think like sometimes a spouse will think, oh, they should know, or they should?
I think it comes from, I don't know, just my observation is that I feel like it might be a way to feel that your partner is interested in you and knows you well, is if they can deduct what exactly you need without you having to say it. I think that may be, and I think this might be kind of a, false thing maybe, that just kind of, society is kind of stirred up, whether that's like from Hollywood or from, social media or other things. But it's just, I feel like that, I mean, you see the Hallmark love stories and stuff like that, and the perfect, kind of thing. And, that's not always, that's not real life. So
yeah,
I think that's where some of that comes from. And so if you do know those things, you should know those things, that it does. And I'm not saying that it's not important to be observant and to listen to your spouse, and to, you will pick up on things, and you definitely, those are things you can, but I think that, like we've talked about, for us, it's never been like expectations that I had to guess, or that you've taken it as a offense if I didn't know one of your deep dark secrets, or come up with that on my own. I think communicating has been key.
I think so too. I think sometimes when we have those expectations, it kind of creates a lack of appreciation too, I think. Because if we can show appreciation to one another, then I think, we're not putting that expectation and the shoulds and whatever on them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's also one of those things that, I mean, if I keep something a secret, and then you don't ever come across like an expectation or something, and you don't meet that at some point, and then I hold resentment towards you, I mean, that's, to me, not fair. That's just going to cause issues, and that's not really a fair thing to have that expectation. In the way I look at it, anyway.
Well, it kind of makes me think of like my focus framework, where what is the fact of the situation? Maybe they didn't, you wanted your husband to bring you flowers or something like that, and he didn't bring home flowers, so that's the fact. So what's your thought at that? Well, he doesn't love me, or he isn't thinking about me. And then it makes you feel badly. And then it leads to you pulling away from him and not behaving in a way that you want to be, or snap at him or whatever. When in reality, he didn't bring home flowers, maybe because he didn't read your mind, or he had a rough day himself coming home, or, something. Yeah. So if we can create that story in our mind and really it's not that they don't appreciate you, or he doesn't love you, or he didn't know those kinds of things, I think. But I think if we are able to like show appreciation to each other and recognize when maybe an expectation that we did have and didn't say out loud happened, maybe the dishes have been sitting in the sink forever, and it was driving you nuts, and so you went and just did the dishes. And then, okay, so that happened, then maybe you come up to me and say, hey, thank you for doing the dishes. Even though it's neither of our it's not our jobs, it's not. But recognizing some of those things that are maybe weren't an expectation, but something that we see, I think can go a long way, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think appreciation in marriage can be really powerful, and it can be, I know, like, just in things that you do sometimes, like I'll make dinner or something, and you will say in front of the kids or something like, thank you so much for making dinner. And I think it helps them recognize that okay, this is something that I did because I love you guys and not
Yeah.
not because I have to.
No.
I mean, especially our kids at this age are, it's
Yeah.
really not an expectation anymore because they're
Yeah.
all old enough they can make their own stuff or whatever too. They're adults.
Yep. And it could have just been a can of soup out of the but that's normally not what it is. And so that could have been what they had, but they had a really nice meal because you took the time to prepare something.
And I appreciate that when you point that out, because it makes me want to do it more too, I think. So I think when we appreciate those things, it makes us want to do them even more.
Definitely.
So I think also one thing that I put in my blog for the week is that appreciation really can shift everything. It kind of reminds you guys that you're on the same team too, when you're appreciating one another. So I think that might be I had a few things that I jotted down to talk about. I think a challenge that maybe I would kind of leave for people here is that every time you catch yourself thinking this week that they should just know, ask yourself, have I actually told them what I need? And then thank them for doing one thing, even if it's small, no matter how small it is.
Yeah.
Ask, maybe you can even ask, what's one thing you appreciate about me today? Or something you can kind of and see. I think it'd be curious to ask your spouse, what is there something I did today that you appreciated, and see what their answer is, because it may surprise you some of the things that they're recognizing that you are doing for them or doing throughout your day, and it'll make you want to do it more. I think, don't you think?
I think definitely.
Yeah. You could also ask your spouse, what's something small we could do each week to stay connected, because I think that's really important. I know for us, that is our date night.
Yep.
We do our date night every week, which if you listened to last week's episode, I kind of talked a little bit about that. But that's my favorite part of the week. I love just the time that we can sit down and connect and just talk. And sometimes it's on a bike ride, and sometimes it's just going for a walk or a run or something together, and just I don't know, being together. So
absolutely.
Favorite part. So anything else I'm forgetting maybe about?
I don't think so.
Anything from the blog that maybe you remembered, or?
Not that I can think of. I think we've kind of covered it.
Covered it all. So misguided expectations this week. If you didn't catch it, go to peacefulheartjourney.com/blog, and you'll find this week's post about that. I'm kind of taking the next few weeks, a little bit of the 7 different connection killers, space invaders, kind of whatever you want to call it, that kind of can invade our marriages, and kind of breaking them down a little bit and talking about them. So stay tuned. If you can, like and follow the podcast or YouTube if you're watching it on YouTube. And when you do that, leave a review if you can, because it helps others find the channel, and I appreciate it very much. And if this was helpful in any way, share it. That too kind of gets people seeing it a little bit more too. So, absolutely. And send me messages, because I do enjoy getting those too when you guys like an episode. I really like that. So thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time on the Focus Podcast. Thanks for hanging out with me today on the Focus Podcast. If something stood out or helped you in some way, feel free to share it or leave a quick review. It means a lot. Keep showing up, keep growing, and I'll catch you in the next episode.